Welcome to Central News, I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, the Eco Walking Festival is coming to Katikati from April the 20th to May the 25th, where you can partake in a walk to Matakana Island. The festival is about promoting the great walking tracks in our regions, whether they are the many bushwalks or the coastal tracks. Jackie Knight from Catch Katikati says the festival is a great way to get out there and see the region.
It's enjoying connecting hills and oceans, so it's about getting out and into the hills around Katikati and up the Coromandel. So there's over 30 guided walks this year, and it's in its 10th year that it's been operating.
A proactive community group is being sought to get Tauranga's failed cycle trail back on track to becoming part of New Zealand's iconic cycle trail. After its failed proposal in 2009, when the New Zealand Cycle Trail project was first established, the city has struggled to find a group willing to undertake the project and move it forward in the application process. Tauranga resident Jan Boyson says looking at each of the 23 tracks throughout the country, it seems they are all joint ventures between community groups and the Department of Conservation. Now for our region's weather. Wednesday for you, Hamilton will be mainly fine with light winds. Your expected high is 24 and an overnight low of 14. Tauranga, your Wednesday will be fine with light winds and a few sea breezes. Your expected high is 24 and an overnight low of 15. Just ahead, Community Awards. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. The annual Trustpower Community Awards are open for the Waipa District, so we found out how you can vote for the community group you feel is deserving.
So Trustpower has a community awards program that we run in 24 regions throughout New Zealand, and basically they're a recognition program for voluntary groups in these different regions, and it's our way, Trustpower's way of giving back to the communities in which we operate in. It's giving back to those people that really matter, or we believe really matter in the community. So that's our sort of main sponsorship, I guess.
Who else is actually involved with the Community Awards?
So the Community Awards we run in partnership with each of the respective councils. So we are working with 24 councils throughout the country. And so we run as a partnership so that the councils are on board with celebrating their volunteers in their region. So so everyone, all voluntary groups in the region, a letter is sent to them so they can all be involved. But it's Trustpower and the council which are the two main drivers behind the program.
What is the voting procedure?
So there's it's like we call it an entry period that the entries are open for. They're usually open for about 8 weeks, and anyone in the community can enter a group. But a lot of groups enter themselves into the awards, which is fine, which we like as well. But it's great when other people in the community enter a group that they see doing fantastic work out there, because it means that they know that other people are recognising what they're doing. So yeah, we try to encourage that as much as we can.
What do you think the judges are actually looking for?
So it's a hard one because voluntary groups are amazing and they all do their own great things in their own respective right. But basically they're looking for voluntary input, how committed and passionate the volunteers are, what they've done over the past 12 months, whether they've done anything new or creative, what kind of initiative they've got, and also how they've impacted the community. So, what sort of benefits they're having for the community and for those around them.
Now, there are different categories. There's 5 different categories. What are they?
Yeah, so we have 5 categories. We have heritage and environment, health and wellbeing, arts and culture, sport and leisure, and education and child youth development. So every voluntary group out there will fit into one of those 5 categories, we believe. So yeah, it's for everyone. It's for all different kinds.
What do the winners actually get?
So we have a winner and a runner-up in each of the categories, and so we try not to try and focus on the prizes because it's a celebration of all the groups that are entered, because all the groups that are entered get invited along to an awards ceremony that we have. But the winner gets $500 and the runner-up gets $250, and then we have a supreme overall winner at each of our 24 awards, and they come along to our national community awards. So that's held once a year for the 24 supreme winners.
Who were last year's winners?
So at the moment we've got the Waipa Community Awards open, Western Bay and Tauranga. Last year for Waipa was the Cambridge BMX Club. For Western Bay of Plenty, it was the Pirirako Society Incorporated, and for Tauranga, it was Age Concern. So they've all done amazing things, and so they're all going to be representing their region for the Nationals.
Because you mentioned the National Community Awards. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's coming up in March, the National Community Awards, and we alternate between North and South Island, where they're going to be held, and this year they're being held up far north, so sort of Paihia region. So each of the groups from the 24 regions, they come up with either their mayor or a representative from the council and their partner, and they come up and we sort of showcase the region. So we'll be showcasing a bit of the far north on the Friday, and then on the Saturday, each of the groups give an 8-minute presentation, and it's judged 50% by the groups themselves and then 50% by an independent judging panel. And then we have a big awards ceremony on the Saturday night as well. So the people, they get a real buzz from it, seeing what other people are doing from around the country, and they take ideas home, and yeah, it's a really neat celebration of what's going on around in our communities. Yeah.
Why does Trustpower feel it's so important to recognise community groups?
Yeah, so at Trustpower we believe that the volunteers are the lifeblood of the communities. So if we didn't have volunteers, a lot of the community spirit would be lost, and it's those voluntary groups that tie a lot of the people together in the community. So we don't want to lose them, and we know that they need to be recognised and appreciated for what they do. A lot of them do it because they love it, but it's important that they're recognised for what they do as well, and so that's why we run in partnership with the council as well, so that they're feeling valued with the work that they do, and that they continue it, and just trying to encourage other people to get involved in volunteering as well.
So what does the actual national winner get?
They get 2,000. Sorry, I didn't mention before. The supreme overall winner gets $1,500 and the chance to go to the national awards. At the nationals, they get $2,500, and they get a lot of publicity and recognition and that sort of thing out of it as well.
How can we enter a group?
So the entry process it's quite simple. We have an entry form, and basically all we need is the group's details and the person who's entering their details as well, because everyone who enters a group is invited along. So all the groups and all the people who enter can come along. You can either go to your local council and they have forms there, or your service centre. You can call me, Teresa, on 0800 87 11 11, and I can either send you out a form, or I can take your entry and your details over the phone, or you can go onto our website, which is www.trustpower.co.nz/community awards. Yeah, so that's the easy process. And then once those entries go into the council, and then once they get those, they then send an information form out to the group just to get a little bit more information about them for the judges.
When do entries close?
So there's only a few more weeks. For Western Bay and Tauranga, they close on the 15th of March. And for the Waipa Awards, Cambridge Te Muru area, that's the 22nd of March.
Visit communityconnect.co.nz to find out how you can vote. Coming up next, we look at the high rate of farmers taking their own lives. Welcome back. An alarming rate of farmers end their lives each year. Why are these statistics so high? And what can we do about this? Neil Baitup from Rural Support tells us more.
Well, we have an 0800 number, which is a helpline for farmers or anybody in the rural industry who can ring at any point in the time. It's manned 24/7, 365 days a year. And anybody who has any concerns, doesn't know where to turn for help, can ring that number, and we have facilitators who can contact them, talk through their issues that they have. Some of those issues around, they could be farm management problems, they could be financial problems, they could be health problems, they could be personal problems, employment problems, you name it, it's all out there, but it's just a help service for farmers by farmers, really.
So, I mean, it's not just for mental health issues, it's actually for, if you...
Yeah, absolutely. It's for everything, and often people just don't know where to turn for help. So if we've got that helpline, they can ring us, have a talk. Sometimes all it is a phone call to discuss, where to go for help or what to do going forward from there. Other times it's more than that, and we have people visit people to help them work through the issues.
Because you're the chairman of the Waikato Hauraki Coromandel Rural Support, what is your role involved?
Yeah, I guess as chairman, I chair the trust. We've got a trust of 5 members, and we just make sure that the business of it operates, and we employ the facilitators, we employ the person, the lady Brenda, who answers the phone for us, and just make sure that and deal with MPI, Ministry of Primary Industries, and because in an adverse event, and we might be looking at one shortly, in an adverse event, MPI will fund us to pay our facilitators to help farmers who are in trouble.
Because there have been some alarming statistics recently. Can you tell us what are the current statistics of New Zealand farmers ending their lives?
Yeah, it's very, very sad. The current statistics are about 1 every fortnight, which is about 25 a year. And the suicide rate in the farming industry appears to be about 50% higher than the general populace within New Zealand. So, you know, it is disturbing, and yeah, I think people have tried to hide the figures and not talk about the figures, but I think actually bringing them out in the open might actually let people see what is happening and make people aware and hopefully be able to do something about it before it's too late.
So you said that it's higher in the farming industry. Is there any kind of inkling why?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that. I suspect farmers tend to work on their own a lot, don't have the support systems necessarily behind them. There are times of the year when things get pretty tough, and there's a whole lot of things that farmers can't control. You know, at the current time we have a drought, and it's pretty tough out there. There's going to be a lot of cows that are struggling to be fed. There's going to be a real shortage of income because if cows are dried off early, it'll financially hit. There are other times of the year, like the springtime, when it's wet and it's cold and it's miserable, and farmers work long hours, and working on their own can be, yeah, it can get depressing, and so I suspect that's some of the reasons why it's higher within the farming industry than others, and maybe farmers have the means more than other people in other areas to take their lives, so if things get tough.
Because I mean, isolation's never good for anyone.
No, it's not. It's not, and it's important that people actually keep talking to people, and trying to help each other out, and because isolation is never, as you said, never good for anybody.
I suppose that's when they should be ringing you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, often they don't ring. You know, when people get into that position, they don't do something about it. So really it's up to family members and friends and that sort of thing to encourage them, to look for signs and encourage them.
Is there a trend who is actually most affected? Is it males more than females?
Yeah.
Is it?
Absolutely, it's males more than females. And age groups. There seems to be a group of younger men, and then there's also a group of more elderly men. So there's sort of two demographics there, and I'm not sure why that is, but the statistics show us that are the two groups that are most likely to take their own lives.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. I mean, what symptoms should family members be looking for if they are worried?
They should look. People that get depressed, and a lot of suicides come out of depression, and depression is just another sickness. It shouldn't be seen as as something to not talk about or to hide. You know, some people suffer from high blood pressure, some people suffer from diabetes, some people suffer from depression, and it's just an illness and it can be treated. So it's important that people don't sort of look at it and say, oh, it's bad, or it's. And I know a lot of people who are taking medication for depression and living perfectly healthy, normal, happy lives. Life's great for them, and some will take medication for a short time to help them through a period. So the things that people should be looking for are probably people become quieter, more inward looking, more moody, maybe drinking more, having trouble sleeping and therefore tired a lot more than they would normally be, and perhaps not mixing as much with friends and family as they used to do. So those are some of the things. Farmers who are depressed often don't make decisions. And there's a real productivity issue around that. There are times, particularly in a drought or a wet spring or something, when decisions need to be made on a very regular basis. And people who are depressed often don't make decisions, so then things don't actually happen. And actually seeing if somebody should be making decisions about drying cows off and they're not, or something like that, it's a symptom that maybe they're struggling, they're stressed.
Visit rural-support.org.nz if you are in need of some help, or if you're worried about someone you know. Just ahead, we visit a rare forest. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. The Aongatete Forest is where the kauri of the north meet the beech trees of the east, and it used to be home to a big population of huia, kokako and kiwi. I met the caregivers of the forest.
Well, Forest and Bird are expanding out from the work that the Aongatete Forest Restoration Trust have done, and we're expanding the pest control from about 250 hectares out to about 1,000 if we can find the volunteers and the money.
So what are the organisations involved here, and how many volunteers do you have?
Well, all up there's in excess of 100 volunteers involved in the project up here. That includes Royal Forest and Bird, the Katikati Rotary Club, and our own organisation. So, you've got 3 or 4 organisations running there, and you've got just straight volunteers who come in because they're interested and think that's a good thing.
And what do volunteers do towards pest control?
Well, we have up here 800, I think it is, traps or base stations where we put poison out. The volunteers are allocated out to certain areas, and they go out and feed those baits into those stations. And another times they'll go out and we'll check whether the bait's been taken, what the results are. And other things that have to happen are we have to monitor the number of pests left after we've done a run. And so it's all a sort of watch on, keep in touch game. Yeah.
How long have you been working at this area, and have you seen some sort of improvement?
Yeah, the project was set up in 2006 due to a lot of concern by people who know this area. The Aongatete Forest, which is part of the Kaiamai Forest Park, is the last and only piece of real, true lowland forest where you've got puri, kauri, rimu growing in conjunction. And sadly, possum depredations have taken the canopy out of most of that forest and created real problems. The kauri trees were practically dead. And as I say, this was a prime piece of podocarp forest, lowland forest. So from a public point of view, it was a sad thing. So that stimulated interest in doing something about it. A lot of people use this forest. It's a very, very handy recreational forest. And once people realised that the danger was there, that the forest was actually collapsing, which it is, that stimulated public interest and helped us with volunteers, and everybody's very, very keen to see it progress.
Do you think there could ever be a kiwi and kokako population ever again?
Of course. The forest was rich in kokako and kiwi 20 years ago, and it's only the destruction of the forest by these pests that has eliminated them, and of course the rat population, and as well as stoats and weasels in there. So all of those are being targeted. So yes, once you get rid of those pests, there's no doubt that the bird life can return. That's what we're aiming to do.
Now the Aongatete Forest is special. Why?
It's special because it is the last piece of lowland podocarp forest in the park area. These forests have long since gone, but up here you have kauri, rimu, puri, tawa, all growing alongside each other, big trees. And what we're aiming to do is to restore them back to their proper, prestigious position. Yeah.
And what can the general public do to actually get involved and help?
Well, get involved, volunteers. We need them, and Royal Forest and Bird is one of the organisations which, if people join that, they can be involved, and then you get a membership, financial involvement. All this costs money, of course. So, get involved. We love it. Yeah, and people enjoy it, don't get me wrong. A lot of our volunteers are over 80 and they come up here on wet, cold, miserable days because they believe in it, and it's wonderful to see the sort of feeling that they have that they're doing something worthwhile, and they are.
So tell us about the new development in the project here at the Aongatiti Forest.
Well, Forest and Bird has started working in the forest last year, and we're going to be expanding out from the about 250 hectares that the Trust has under control, and we want to expand out to 1,000 hectares, but that depends on getting enough volunteers and enough money.
What is actually hoped will come from extending the pest control area?
Well, basically, bigger is better in the pest control game. The bigger the area we have, the bigger the bird populations that the area can support. And also there's an issue with pest control with reinvasion. If we have a small area, it's all edge, and there's possums and rats and all sorts, stoats reinvading from outside. And behind this area we've got a huge tract of bush that's full of possums, and they're all keen to come into our nice area where we've got rid of the others. So the bigger the area, the less reinvasion. We can keep a core area pretty well under control.
What birds used to live here?
Oh, well, there would have been all sorts, possibly moa at some point, but in the recent past, even in the 1980s, there were kōkako, kiwi. We still think there could be a couple of kiwi here. Whio, blue duck in the river, kaka, kakariki, falcons, a whole lot of things would have been here in the not too distant past.
Other native birds do live here. Do you think that their population could ever be restored?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the ones that are still here and hanging on, they just need pest numbers to be kept low so that they can nest in peace and expand. We've got things like riflemen, which are not that common in the Kaimais, and they seem to be expanding, and robin, North Island robin, tomtits, things like that. Yeah.
And what are the threats that are specific to the Aongatiti Forest?
I don't think we have any that are specific to this forest. It's the same old story with bush anywhere in the country. It's a suite of predators that are hammering the birds and browsing the forest. We've got possums, rats, stoats, cats, hedgehogs, deer, pigs, all of those things. And not really specific to us, but they've got to be dealt with.
Visit forestandbird.org.nz to find out how you can get involved. That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news, including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.